Irene, first and foremost, really appreciate you coming in this morning to speak to us. It's a pleasure to have you here. And why don't we start at the beginning and when you started supporting the football club all those years ago, and I believe you said off camera you were just 11 years old.
Yes, my dad, he was getting ready for football in the hall, getting himself ready. And he said to my brother, "Come on, Bevis, hurry up, we'll be late." "Oh, I don't want to go, Dad," he said. So I said, "Dad, can I come?" He said, "Of course you can, girl, go and get your coat on." And that's how it all started. And I stood behind the goal on the crate, milk crate.
Yeah.
And that was it, I was hooked.
You were hooked from then?
Yeah.
And I know you said you can't specifically remember the first game, but you remember the sort of the early seasons that you came. What was that like?
Sorry?
What was the sort of first few seasons that you came? What were they like?
Oh, they were great. It was all new to me. And every time we scored, I used to knock my dad's trilby off. Because most men wore trilbies today, in those days. And I'd just clip it off. Goal, let's go.
Did he get it back?
Oh, yes, he got it back.
So what was the year that you first started coming?
It would be 45.
Really? And so what was, you talk about the celebrations then and knocking your dad's trilby hat off. What was the whole match day experience like for you back then?
I just loved it. I just seemed to fit right into it. So, it's made for me sort of thing,
Yeah.
To me, there was nothing else. I was into football and that was it.
Yeah. And then when you started getting older and growing up, what were the teams like following then?
Oh, they were all great teams. I used to bike down in the school holidays and bike right through to the practice pitch, lay me bike down and sit and watch them train.
Really?
Yeah.
And what sort of teams are those that you were watching? The likes of 78 and 81? You were getting a little bit older then, or?
I suppose now a bit younger than that.
A bit
60
younger?
odd, yeah.
You've probably met some brilliant people over the years as well. Who do you remember? Who stands out?
Kanchi. And we're still friends. Those that are still alive, they're still around and we see each other,
Yeah.
And we used to play dance, all the branches at the supporters club used to play dance and pool at the centre spot every Monday. That was superb. It really was.
And that's because you are still chair of the supporters club, isn't it? Tell us a little bit about that role for you.
Yes.
So how long have you been doing that?
About 35 years, I suppose, 36 years.
And you're still enjoying it?
Yep.
And what does that entail for you?
What does it?
What does that role involve you doing?
Well, you have a branch, and if we have a Christmas meal every year.
Yeah.
And we used to go out. Used to have boat trips down in the docks and whatnot. And used to do treasure hunts around the town, but of course you can't do that now. But just getting together and doing things,
What sort of games stand out in your memory, Irene? I mean, probably can't even count how many you've been to, but are there any particular moments or games that stand out for you?
One of them's got to be Wembley, the FA Cup, and particularly because my dad always said he wanted to see Ipswich at Wembley. And when we won that cup, he died exactly a year ago. He won that day. And I stood there hailing my eyes out like a twig. But I just couldn't stop myself.
Yeah.
Now and he should be there. But my coach was so upset. "What's the matter? What's the matter? We've won." I said, "Yeah, but my dad weren't here."
Yeah, that must have been really mixed emotions.
That was a big thing.
So what was that day like for you, travelling to Wembley? And
coming home, everybody was over those walkways,
Yeah.
It was from London right the way through. It was incredible. I think most people don't like Arsenal, perhaps, who live that area.
Yeah.
So they were cheering us and waving flags, and it was fantastic.
All these players that you've seen on the Portman Road pitch, can you pick a favourite?
Ricky Mills. He was my favourite.
And still is?
Yes, yes.
How about coming to Portman Road now, Irene? Of course, you are still a season ticket holder. You still come to every game. What's that like for you?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for the next home game at the moment.
Yeah. You fancy our chances this season?
It's too early to talk like that. I think I don't look at the leagues yet. December perhaps I'll look at them, but not yet. You can't. I don't think that's fair to the players to keep on about it anyway.
Yeah, but you're still enjoying the coming to Portman Road on a match day. So who's involved in that process? I know you speak to Lee Smith, the disability liaison officer, don't you?
He's brilliant, he is. He's very kind and do anything for you. And I sit up there behind the goal where that says Sir Alf Ramsey, right in the front. And I've got the whole pitch in front of me.
Yeah.
Superb seat.
And what's the sort of thing that you enjoy most about a match day? You mentioned a minute ago about the people that you meet and Lee, of course. Who do you sit with on a match day when you come here?
I enjoy everything of it. I just, from beginning to end, I enjoy it right the way through. Even though if they score against us, I accept it. It happens. That's football. That's what they've come for.
How do you sum up your time following the club, Irene? What does being an Ipswich Town fan mean to you?
Everything. Everything. I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
Very proud of what I've seen. I'm a lucky person to have gone through the era where we've done such good. And now we're a bit lower. It was a bit, I suppose 2 years ago I began to think, should I come down anymore? I wasn't enjoying it, and I thought, of course I am, I'm a supporter. You don't go away because they're not doing well.
Yeah.
So many people do that. They don't want to know if you lose. But to me, that's not what the game's about.
Yeah.
The game's about how they play and who they play and how they react. I like that best of all.
You've actually brought a few bits with you as well, haven't you? So you've kept some programmes over the years. So what games are these from?
These two are 1958, and one was, I think it was Bristol Rovers and Derby County, and then there's one 1961, I think. You had that one, didn't you?
Yeah.
That was Manchester City.
And you've kept them in incredible condition. So have you been a programme collector through the years?
Got loads in a cupboard.
Yeah.
But Darren opened the cupboard, they'd all fall out.
But this isn't, you talk about your love for the football club now. That is now in your family, isn't it? We've spoken to your grandson Nathan.
He's a policeman in Thames Valley.
Yeah.
And he loves the club. He can't wait to get down when he can. And I'm gradually pushing all this stuff into him. I know he'll like it.
Do you think it's going to be a Davey tradition to be Ipswich Town fans?
Oh yes, it will be. Because his two children, they've been down here in the players outside here.
Yeah.
And they love it. The little girl's got her kit and she won't take it off.
Yeah.
She got a bed in it as well.
Irene, you said you had a great day at Wembley, but also a few years later, the trip to Amsterdam, and you have a fantastic story from there, don't you?
Yes, I do. The coach I was on, I've got several ladies who come in my shop, and they used to come down with me. And we were walking down the road towards the ground, waving the flags and shouting Ipswich. And then there was all these little police vans around the ground. I suppose policemen who were working there left their van. As we got down towards the ground, this policeman stepped out and he just put his finger up and went. And I thought, oh God, what have I done wrong? And I looked at my ladies, they said, go on, go on. So I went with him, and then he opened his van, and it was just full of Ipswich Town flags, completely full. Because he was a great fan of Tyron and
He was a Tyson and Muren fan.
That's right. I forgot the names. Yeah, he was a great fan of them, and most of those people were actually. They loved him over there.
Yeah. And what were the celebrations like after the match?
It was it was just, well, you can't remember much of it really. It was so good.
Yeah.
No, it's fantastic.
Irene, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in this morning. Thank you for coming to speak to us, and thank you for your support over the years.